These days it's not often you see two of these in the same room. Apple iPod hi-fi speakers were released almost 20 years ago now in February 2006, but somehow they still look and perform exactly like new. Not a huge number of these exist since Apple discontinued making them just a year after their release. Bonus feature by the way, they're portable and you can buy rechargeable batteries to use these out and about or in the car. More on that later. So these were originally sold by Apple for $350 US. Really they were made for people with iPods. As you can see, there's a 30-pin dock connector on the top where you'd be able to stick any of the compatible devices. Plugging my iPod into this dock lets me change the preset the speaker is put on. There's a bass boost mode for really boomy low frequency sounds, a treble boost to make those high-end sounds louder, and then a standard mode which is just somewhere in the middle. If I'm listening to music, I like having these on bass boost, but when I'm using them with my computer or PlayStation, I keep them at normal so I can hear the full audio range equally. The design of these speakers looks incredibly plain from distance, but there's actually quite a lot going on here. Firstly, the mesh cover on the front is held in place by what appear to be magnets. You can take it off to reveal a 3-speaker array underneath. In the middle there's a subwoofer with a 5.1-inch cone. It's very impressive when it comes to blasting out low frequencies. You can turn it right up to almost painful levels, and it doesn't distort at all. If these things are remembered for one thing, it's probably this insane room-shaking volume they're able to reach. And I mean that literally. I can feel parts of the room shaking, and if they're resonating right, you can almost get that festival feeling of when the speakers are actually shaking your chest a bit. There are two slightly smaller tweeters for the high and mid-range frequencies, one on each side. They give detail to whatever you're listening to and are what you'll be hearing most of if you're watching a film or a YouTube video like this one. Despite this one sitting on my desk right now, one of the iPod Hi-Fi's most exciting features is its portability. If you twist this little cap, the back cover comes loose, underneath which you can put the batteries. This speaker needs 6 D-cell batteries to run. It's safe to say these were a lot more common in the mid-2000s than they are now, since not many places sell D-cell batteries anymore. I did manage to find some USB-C rechargeable ones online though. One set of 6 batteries should last up to about 15 hours of playback at a time. It would be a serious waste to keep buying disposable batteries for every 15-hour listening period on this thing, so it's great to have these rechargeable ones. Taking this thing out and about isn't quite the same as carrying a JBL or something because it's pretty huge for a portable speaker. It's 1.5 feet wide and 7 inches tall. Its performance is kind of astonishing though. Even on battery power, the sound quality seems the same. There's serious energy behind the bass, and it's a booming sound even in the middle of a wide open space. The volume doesn't go quite as high on battery power though. I'd say it goes up to about 70% of its mains power capabilities. By the way, there is almost no information online about these being used with batteries. AI doesn't even know the iPod Hi-Fi could be used portably. It's kind of a strange situation actually. Most of the time when an Apple product is forgotten and no longer talked about, there was something majorly wrong with it, or it didn't fulfill its intended purpose. This speaker just keeps working though. There's absolutely nothing wrong with the drivers or connectivity, even after almost 20 years. It's one of those products where once you have one, it's probably accidental damage that'll destroy it if anything. I just don't see this thing ceasing to function for any other reason. So let's address their obscurity then. Why did Apple really discontinue these? Well, I'd say it was mostly a lack of sales. In 2006, $350 was a lot of money. Adjusted for inflation, that's actually over $550 today. The iPod Hi-Fi receives signal from either the 30-pin connector on the top or a 3.5mm audio jack on the back. Those two ports are pretty limited, especially in something you'd pay $100,000 for. In the mid-2000s, people with home hi-fi units were still listening to a lot of their music through CDs or MP3s through their computers. A disc reader could have seriously changed the direction these went in, and something more home hi-fi oriented, like a pair of stereo RCA jacks or even HDMI support, would have given them a much needed upgrade. It's also worth noting that Apple marketed this device as an accessory to the iPod. The iPod was popular, but just trying to convince people with iPods already that they needed a $350 speaker to go with it was never going to work. Better connectivity would definitely have helped Apple to shift a lot more of these back in the day. One more feature on these I didn't mention is their infrared remote support. The iPod Hi-Fi's original box included an Apple infrared remote for controlling the volume and playing, pausing, and skipping your music. There's an LED hidden underneath the speaker cover on the bottom right that goes green when you're pressing buttons to change something. It also goes orange when you're at minimum volume, for example. It's satisfying how there's basically no delay between me pressing a button and the light turning on. One of the longest running and most consistent features across Apple's entire product line is the color of the LEDs on their devices. It's the same way on modern day MagSafe chargers and AirPod cases. Same shade of green for fully charged and ready to go, same shade of orange for plugged in and charging. The remote takes button cell batteries and really fits into the black and white color scheme of these speakers perfectly. If you're not using the remote, you can bring the volume up or down using these buttons on the top. They're capacitive touch buttons, a bit like what older consoles like the PS3 used to turn on. Kind of weird to see in a speaker, but I love stuff like this. I'm obviously nitpicking hugely here, but the buttons are properly satisfying. The last thing I'd say about the iPod Hi-Fi is you should really consider picking one up. Depending on what kind of deals are on eBay or local Facebook listings near you, you're likely to find one of these for £40 to £80 or dollars. For that kind of money, it's hard to do any better. The volume on these is incredible, and they put out good quality sound for whatever you're listening to. Here's the thing though, and I do find this weird since I'm gradually becoming a slightly bigger creator on YouTube. If everyone who watched this video were to buy one, there wouldn't be any of these left for sale. Used tech from the past is strange like that. Apple only made a set number of these in the year or so they sold them for. There will never be any more made, and the only real speaker option Apple produces at the moment is their HomePod line. Those are entirely different kinds of speakers, so if you can find one for sale right now, I say jump at the opportunity to own a bit of history, and a very solid speaker that will probably still be working another 20 years down the line from now. Well then. Thank you very much for watching. Quick shout out to today's sponsor by the way, all of you, my lovely viewers. I very rarely do sponsored videos on this channel, so I can stick to making the content you guys want to see, and not be a shill for some company I don't really care about. So if you do feel like making a donation to the channel to support what I do, my Patreon page is linked in the description down below. Subscribers, I'll see you next week.